gonna fall my own. Go save your soul. You don't wanna go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the B&E podcast. I'm Bryce Gelman, and as always, I'm joined by Evan Kamiko. Evan, another week, another episode. How's it going?
And another Dodgers lost 2 nights ago. Even though they won on Sunday night, the Saturday night game is what everyone's talking about still because of the crazy ending. I mean, that game was insane. My whole day Saturday was crazy. I mean, you start with, college football is finally back. The Big Ten's back, which we'll get into later in the show.
We'll talk
3:30 game, Indiana upsets Penn State. We will definitely hit that later because I have a lot to say about that game. And the World Series happened, and Game 4 had an absurd ending that I don't think anyone saw coming. No. I mean, I think it could have been the wildest ending in World Series history.
I think it's the craziest ending since the 2013 World Series in the first game where it was the obstruction call on third base with the Red Sox and Will Middlebrooks. But other than that, there's never been a crazier game, in my opinion.
No, I mean, if you look what happened in the inning, you have Arozarena on first, Kiermaier on second, Brett Phillips is up at bat. There's 2 outs, and you have Kenley Jansen in, who Kenley Jansen has been looking horrible this postseason.
And he's their number one reliever.
There's no way to sugarcoat it, and he's their top. I would say Gratterall right now is the number 1 reliever, but in theory, on paper, it should be Kenley Jansen.
Yes,
that's the exact situation you want Jansen in. He gives up a little bloop single to Brett Phillips. It goes to center field. And first of all, why is Chris Taylor playing center field in the bottom of the 9th inning?
Well, supposedly, okay. So supposedly,
I get it.
They took Bellinger out of the lineup.
Back issues
because
he was DHing.
Okay,
he was DHing. But Chris Taylor is a converted shortstop. Why isn't Jock Peterson there? Why isn't he Mookie Betts?
Jock Peterson would have. I understand. Like
either
the
of
error
them
was
make
made.
that play.
Mookie Betts is in right field. You're not putting him in. You're not putting him in center field. He's been playing strictly right field. So if he's
a
that
better
good,
option at center than Chris Taylor.
Okay, but in that scenario, in that situation, I understand why Dave Roberts isn't thinking about taking Chris Taylor out because Chris Taylor's a solid defender. I understand he made an error, he made a mistake, but before this, he's been considered a solid defender. He's a good defensive replacement for Cody Bellinger.
And at least, you can't blame the whole play on Chris Taylor. The first run scoring, Chris Taylor's fault. The second run scored, that was Will Smith's fault. The catcher for the Dodgers.
Yes.
Easy ball. Arozarena was on the ground.
Yes.
This guy's on the ground, and he still scores.
Yeah,
it's beyond me. If I'm Dave Roberts, I'm so curious what he was saying after that game. And thank God they won Game 5 because I have to say, if they didn't win, if they didn't win Game 5, oh my goodness! I think Dave Roberts gets fired at the end of the season. If the Dodgers don't win the World Series, I think Dave Roberts gets fired at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think this is a must-win for this entire franchise for the fact that they've been in the World Series 3 times in the last 4 years and haven't walked away with the World Series trophy. This has to be the year. I completely agree with you that Dave Roberts is gone this year. If they can't win one of these next 2 games, which I think they will, we'll talk about our predictions in a few, but I do think that this team looks a lot better than the Rays. They have a lot more talent batting wise, and the Rays bullpen hasn't been great. They need to. The thing is with this Rays team. When they
Glasnow isn't giving them innings that he was supposed to be giving them. Glasnow has only been going 4 and 5 in games 1 and now game 5.
He was not good. He was really not good.
He was not sharp. He couldn't locate any of his off-speed stuff. Now, that allowed him to get to 112 pitches, a number he hasn't hit the entire season.
Yeah.
By inning 5 of this game. That means your bullpen is now, you're using more arms, and that's why, the Dodgers are the better team than the Rays. Is that they're able to get to their bullpen because the Dodgers can hit good pitching. Yeah. It's plain and simple. If, like I said, if LA doesn't win one of the next 2 games, Dave Roberts should get fired. It shouldn't even be a question. You need to bring in some new blood. He's been in now the World Series. This is his 3rd World Series. And if they don't win 1, he's got to be gone.
Yeah, he is a good manager. I'll give him that. There's nothing really wrong with him. But when it comes down, to it, you need to win. Yeah. You need to win in a city like LA. You need to win in a city like New York. You have to win in a city like Chicago. It doesn't matter. I understand other cities, but they don't have quite as high expectations as these big cities and these big payrolls do. The Dodgers, obviously, before the season, were considered one of the 2 favorites, like we said in previous episodes with the Yankees. We understand how that ended up, but the Dodgers are in a must-win position, like I said, and Dave Roberts should be on the chopping block, like we've been saying. You can't go 4 years and not win a World Series when you've made the World Series 3 times out of those 4 years. And talking about Glasnow. I understand the 112 pitch count. He didn't go. I don't think any of those starters before this series went over 90 pitches. Like their starters, including Blake Snell, have only been going up to 90 or 100 pitches, and they've been overworking themselves because they haven't been able to get through the innings. And quite frankly, Kevin Cash can't keep rolling at the same arms. Yes, he has 7 guys you can go to that can get 3 outs. But when they pitch game after game after game, and you're pitching 4 or 5 bullpen arms a game when games are back to back, you can't really win like that. I understand also now the fact there's a day of rest. They're going to have a rested bullpen. I do think the Rays win game 6, but I do think that the Dodgers will come back and take game 7. I'm going against my actual prediction. I do think the Dodgers win this series because it's about time. What do you think?
This is tough because if you look at it, first before I get into my prediction, I do want to say that what the Nationals did a couple years ago, they had Dusty Baker. He took them in the playoffs several years, couldn't get past the NLDS. They couldn't get to the championship series. They fired Dusty, bring in Davey Martinez from the Cubs, takes them, they start 19-31. Everyone knows how it worked out. So maybe it is, if the Dodgers lose, they're due for a change, just like the Nationals were to get over that hump. And yeah, Mookie Betts, is Mookie Betts. We can't take that away. But it just might be Dave Roberts can't get over that hump. And it's the same thing we saw with Dusty Baker a couple years ago. But, it's funny that you switch your pick. Tomorrow night is going to be an absolute bullpen game for the Dodgers, which worries me if I'm, a Dodgers fan. Because quite frankly, the last bullpen games you've played, you haven't been able to win. Because the Rays have just been getting to that bullpen. And plus, they have one day off today. But you're going to have to put in Joe Kelly tomorrow. You're going to have Gonsolin is probably going to be the starter. Dustin May is going to come on short rest or maybe go game 7 on short rest. Either way, he will be pitching. But, Blake Treinen, another guy, short rest. All these guys are now on short rest, and you're asking your entire bullpen to go, 9 innings against Blake Snell.
They will have Kenley, though. They will have
phenomenal.
Kenley.
They'll have Kenley, but which Kenley Jansen's going to show up?
Not
2020 Kenley Jansen or 2018 Kenley Jansen?
Obviously 2020. I mean, we've seen his ability right now, and he's not been able to locate. He's leaving that cutter over the middle of the plate. He's hanging sliders, and they're just hitting them. They're a team. The Rays are a team that makes you pay for bad pitches. The Yankees, this is my problem with them. They get pitches down the middle. Gary Sanchez striking out on everything. These Rays batters, they swing hard, but they connect with stuff down the middle. So as long as you make good pitches, and the Dodgers have been making good pitches, and they've been scoring more, but if you make good pitches, that's how you beat this Rays team.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the Rays tonight because this episode will be out on Tuesday. But game 7, do you know who's pitching for the Dodgers? Because it's going to be – do you remember who it is? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Are they going Buehler?
I'm not 100% sure. I think it is going to be Buehler. If Walker Buehler is on the mound for game 7, I do not see him losing. Even though Charlie Morton's on the mound, is going to be on the mound for the Rays, I cannot see, Walker Buehler losing, and he will establish his dominance as probably the best. He will establish his dominance as the best postseason pitcher in LA Dodgers history if he wins game 7.
Buehler?
That easy, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Buehler's going to be probably one of the top 3 pitchers in the league within the next 3 years.
I think he already is. Is.
I'd say that there's a definitely more than 3 guys ahead of him. I think Kershaw still is, like obviously Garrett Cole, and then DeGrom. That's like he's maybe top 5.
Okay, top 5,
potentially top 10. I think he's.
I think
10.
more realistically top 10 because I'm also forgetting you have Trevor Bauer, Darvish, Sonny Gray. There's Kyle Hendricks would be in the top 15. But I don't know about that. Kyle Hendricks easily top 15 pitcher in the MLB.
Maybe.
Nobody.
20, maybe.
I'll tell you why quickly. We'll get off topic before we get into the Mike Francesa tweet from last night.
Yeah, please.
Kyle Hendricks, if you look at Kyle Hendricks, he looks so easy to game plan against. Change up. He's going to be throwing nothing over 90 miles an hour. It's very similar with Zach Greinke. They're both going to come at you with okay fastballs, 87 to 91 max. And then they have their changeup and their curveball, which they will locate every day. That's why Kyle Hendricks is so good because he has that ability to locate the changeup. If there's a full count and runner on second and he needs that changeup to go, to be down and away against a right-handed hitter, he's going to throw it down and away and he's going to get out of the jam. He's so meticulous.
Yeah.
And I don't think as other pitchers are as meticulous as Kyle Hendricks. That's my quick rant about Kyle Hendricks. You get my point.
All right, so
here we go. Mike Francesa tweet. I'll let you go.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, I don't know if you could be able to pull this up in editing, but I think you might have to because Mike Francesa decides to tweet 2 times within 3 minutes. The first tweet says, Kershaw will always be remembered as a legendary pitcher who was never a dominant postseason performer. Case closed. And then the next tweet, he says, Kershaw, 4-1, 2.93, as in 2.93 ERA, has had a very solid postseason. His performance and a title should quiet the critics. So
he should just shut up. He should just stop talking.
I mean, it's Mike Francesa. He flip-flops all the time, and then he'd tell you that he never said that, and which he's done a lot of times in the past. But I think that he has a good point if you do look at one of those other tweets and then get rid of the other one. But in my opinion, I do think that Clayton Kershaw. Yes, I agree with.
He finally had a good year.
Tweet.
That's all it is.
Yes.
He finally had a good postseason.
And he's still relatively young. He just entered his 30s a couple years ago. He's got at least 5-6 more solid years that he could. How old is he?
32.
He's got 5-6 more years. He's one of those guys, dude.
2 to 3 more good years on the front end of the rotation. He's got about 2 years left, but then he can, in my opinion, he'll transfer more to like what John Lackey did with the Cubs a couple years ago, where he was that 4th starter in the game. But then he can still give you good innings.
Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw.
No, I'm not saying John Lackey's anywhere near. I'm not saying that John Lackey is anywhere near Clayton Kershaw in talent level. I completely agree. Okay. But I'm saying in a couple of years, in like 2-4 years, he will be more of that number 4, type of guy in the rotation, because they're going to have guys like Urias, who's going to be 29 in 2 years. Walker Buehler, Dustin May will finally be able to start and give you a lot of innings. So in the playoffs, you have a 4-man rotation. Clayton Kershaw will be your number 4 in a couple of years.
Well, let's write that one down.
Because right now he's still number 3 in the rotation.
What are you talking about? He's the best pitcher on that team during this series, and you could not prove me different.
No, but I'm saying in this series, if you look at it, Clayton Kershaw.
Game 1.
He pitched game. I thought he pitched game 2. That's my bad.
No, he pitched game 1.
But in a couple of years,
5.
he will not be pitching game 1 anymore.
Dude, okay. No, I understand. I understand you saying that. But by looking at what he's doing this series, by looking at what he's been doing this year, he's been able to mix up those 2 pitches, that fastball and that slider, better than he ever has. Yeah. He throws the fastball at 91, 90, 93, 94, and the slider comes in at 89. So you have no idea what's coming.
But if we're talking about the future,
okay,
easily in 2-3 years, Dustin May, and my guess is they could land a big pitching guy this year, or potentially George Springer. They don't. Yeah, you're right. They don't need to.
Why
they need bullpen
center fielder.
Why would they need a center fielder?
They've one of the highest payrolls in baseball. They will not be, if they win a World Series, I guarantee you they will not go out and make any big acquisitions. But let me continue with Kershaw. And I think this has been proven in the past few years with guys like Verlander and Greinke, that guys who lose velocity, as both of those guys did over the years, have still been extremely effective with great pitching coaches and with great mechanics. And Clayton Kershaw has those great mechanics. He's one of the best pitchers of this generation, if not the best pitcher of this generation. He's a surefire Hall of Famer, and I think that within the next 2 or 3 years, he will continue to pitch just as well within the parameters of him still throwing 93, 94. He needs to pick up his velocity just a little bit more and keep that steady over the next 3-4 years. But again, like I said, he still has one of the best curveballs in the game, and that will continue to still be effective even 4 to 5 years down the road. So I do still think that he will be a number 1 to 2 guy as a 35, 36-year-old guy. That's where we disagree. I understand that. Mike Francesa, who knows what he thinks?
Probably nothing.
Knows what Francesa? No. Yeah, he's sitting on his couch.
Definitely. All right, let's move away from baseball. Let's get into football. The Giants still lost to the Eagles, but the Jets looked good for 15 minutes.
A quarter, yes.
15 minutes, they looked good.
The Jets, mainly, let's just bring up the fact that Adam Gase was not calling the plays anymore. The fact that Adam Gase, and the fact that Sam Darnold was finally back. Listen, I understand the shit he gets for not performing to the quality of a number 3 pick in a draft where he was considered the best quarterback. But at the end of the day, like, he doesn't have any weapons. He is an incompetent coach who is dumber than both of us. And he doesn't have an offensive line. He hasn't had an offensive line in 3 years. I think he's been pressured more than any guy this year, probably in the games he's played, besides Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow, I understand, he does have one of the best receiving cores in the league right now it's gonna get better. Tyler Boyd's a beast. T. Higgins is a beast. You know, we're talking about AJ Green, who's a little washed up, but Joe Burrow has been proving himself as a great starter, as a great starting quarterback. And listen, Sam Darnold gets a lot of shit, but I do think he's a solid quarterback. I think if you put him on a team like the Cowboys right now, if you traded the Cowboys without
I want him to come to
the
Chicago.
Cowboys have, yeah, I mean, either way, if he goes to a competent team with a competent defense, you'll probably see him win 9 to 10 games in a year. He's a solid quarterback. He's a solid quarterback. Should not get as much shit as he does, but he's in New York. So
yeah. And he's in a worse spot than a guy like Dwayne Haskins, who arguably is more athletic than Darnold, I would say. But, Haskins can't throw, and, Haskins was put in a better place than Darnold. And right now, Darnold is playing a lot better than Haskins. Haskins is on the bench. Haskins will probably get traded at the end of the year, which is really sad for a guy who was the number, what was he, 11 overall to the Redskins, something like that. Because Daniel Jones went 6. I think he went 11 to 14.
It was 14. Yeah, one of those picks.
But, if you look at a guy like Darnold, you just feel bad for him. He doesn't have an offensive line. He doesn't have any, really any wide receivers, unless maybe you say Jamison Crowder would be his best. But Jamison Crowder hasn't been good for 3 to 4 years. And, now you just lost your entire running game. So how can you ask a guy like Darnold to, do good with nothing? That's just not fair.
It's definitely not. And like I said, the shit he gets just from being a quarterback in New York City, the media and the harsh realities that they write almost every day. If you read any one of these articles, they're shitting on the Jets constantly. They're shitting on the Giants. They shit on the Knicks. They shit on the Yankees. That's just how New York media works. I understand that. But
I think if Darnold was in any other market,
I agree.
He would be much better.
Yeah,
but, any quarterback that's on the Jets would be seen as better. But I'm saying media coverage wise, they wouldn't be slamming him as hard as if he was in per se Cleveland or Baltimore. I'm just using that because him and Lamar and Baker all got drafted in 2017 together, or 2018 together.
2018, yeah.
2017 was Mitch, Mahomes, and Watson. Not too good, but
great draft for the Bears there. We could talk about that all day. I know you probably wouldn't, but let's talk about shitty situations. The Dallas Cowboys, are they the worst team in the NFC East?
Absolutely right now. And it's sad too, because Dallas was probably projected to win the division. They were my favorite to win the division, but you lose Dak for the year. Zeke isn't running good right now. You have no offensive line. Your defense is all hurt. Now you lose Andy Dalton for the year. Who the hell is the next guy up? It's the kid. It's Danucci. It's the Danucci from James Madison.
JMU.
Never heard of them.
JMU.
James Madison University. That's
do you
up.
think it's Kaepernick time?
No, I don't. Actually, take that back. I do think it's Kaepernick time. But I do too. The issue if you bring in Kaepernick now is in 3 weeks when he learns the playbook, what's that going to do for you?
You're going to have a competent quarterback who definitely could win games for you.
Yeah, but in 3 weeks now, if you go 0 for 3 in the next 3 weeks, and let's say Philly wins 1, Washington's 1 or 2, they both win 1 or 2, because that Week 16 matchup is going to decide the division. I think Washington wins the division.
Evan, 0 for 3 in the next 3 weeks from any one of the teams in the NFC East is not that bad. It really isn't.
That's realistic. Not take you out of the division. That's realistic though.
Yeah, 3 wins in a row, three losses in a row doesn't do anything for you in terms of how much your chances are of winning this division, because it's the worst division in all of sports.
But it also goes further into, you can't just say, oh, we're going to bring in Kaepernick, now we're going to be good. The issue is Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy is absolutely destroying this team. Awful. The fact that not a single lineman went up to the defender who hit Andy Dalton and didn't say a word is what kind of example are you setting in practice? This is like Mike McCarthy, when we know with the Packers a couple of years ago, not Super Bowl winning Mike McCarthy, but mediocre Packers Mike McCarthy.
Terrible Mike McCarthy, yeah.
Not a single lineman stood up. Back when that happened with Foles a couple of years ago against the Redskins too, there was a brawl on the field. There was a whole brawl.
Yeah.
Not a single Cowboy went up to, the defender, the Washington football team defender. Not a single one. And that just shows how poorly run Dallas is. And so, yes, Mike McCarthy, you're on the hot seat. I don't care if it's year 1. I've seen crazy, coaches get hired and fired after 1 year all the time.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy, if you don't fix your shit, you're gone. My mom will be super happy because my mom hates Mike McCarthy. And I do not blame her. He's a horrible coach. Horrible coach.
Yeah,
That's no example for the team. Now I'm just repeating myself because I hate Mike McCarthy.
There was no reason why he should have been the coach in the first place. I just don't think that he did enough. I understand he's a Super Bowl winning coach, but he also had Aaron Rodgers for 10 years and was only able to win one Super Bowl with the best quarterback of this generation besides Tom Brady. Tom Brady, I feel like they're in two different generations, even though they've both been good over the same time. Brady was drafted in the 90s, he was drafted in 2000, and Rodgers was drafted in 2005. I understand, whatever. I still think he's better than Brady, but like the legacy is completely different. Brady's the best quarterback of all time. Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback of all time. We could talk about this again all day, but I do want to talk about the Bears.
Than Patrick Mahomes?
Time will tell. Time will tell.
That's also true.
Yes. Speaking of guys that the Bears didn't. Not speaking of guys the Bears didn't get because the Bears did get Mitch Trubisky. Let's talk about the Bears game tonight. The Bears play tonight, Monday night at 8:15, I think. Whatever. What do you think? You think they win or no?
I've been going back and forth. I've been going back and forth on this all day. If you look at the two teams, this is going to be an absolute defensive game. Like the team who wins will be the first team to hit 17. That's my
every
prediction.
Bears game. It's every Bears
That's
game.
also true because the Bears are a defensive run team. I think the Bears have a shot to win tonight. I like the Bears. Obviously, like I'm being not biased right now. I do not think that LA's offense is good enough to beat the Bears defensively. And I think Nick Foles can get lucky with a pass or two tonight like he has been doing recently and beating, the Rams mediocre-ish secondary. Yeah, you have Jalen Ramsey that you have to worry about. But he's going to cover he'll be on Allen Robinson all night. So you're going to expect Allen Robinson to win one or two of those jump balls. And on the other side, I just don't think the Rams have the good enough secondary to really, stop Nick Foles from the deep ball. The thing it's going to come down to is, you're going to have to see Aaron Donald pressure Nick Foles. If Aaron Donald can get through the offensive line of the Bears, there is no way the Bears are going to do anything offensively. My guess, I'm going to go Bears 17-15. I think it's going to be an insanely low scoring game, but it's going to come down to whoever has the ball for the last drive is going to win the game. So my guess is it's going to be 17-15 Bears.
Yeah, I agree with the Bears win tonight. And I think the one thing you have to look out for if you're going to watch this game is this is a matchup between probably the two best defensive players in the league, and Aaron Donald and Khalil Mack. It's a great showdown, but I do have the Bears winning. I think they win 21-17.
Yeah.
I think that the Bears just have a better team right now than the Rams. They're riding hot right now. And I do think that at the end of the day, Nick Foles is going to be able to outperform Jared Goff because Jared Goff is a trash quarterback. I understand some people telling me he made a Super Bowl. How many touchdowns? How many touchdowns did he score in the Super Bowl?
0. They scored 3 points.
Exactly. I know. It was pathetic. So he rode his defense to the Super Bowl, and then he gets there and does nothing. I just do not think that Jared Goff is a solid quarterback. He's a below average quarterback. He's not a trash quarterback because a trash quarterback wouldn't have taken you to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
But he's a below average quarterback on a better team with a great coach. I still think that the Bears are in a better situation than them. I don't think that the Rams are a solid team this year either. They have two of the best defenders in the league, but who else you got? You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
It's going to be
I agree with you, Bears.
It's going to be an ugly win for whoever wins, but what else to expect? And when the teams met 2 years ago, it was, 16-14 for the Bears. Literally, I think they won it on an Eddie Jackson pick 6. Like, that's when this game's going to be super defensive. Yes, last year the Rams did blow the Bears out, but the Rams do not have a running game this year. And I think that's going to be insanely impactful because the Bears don't have that good of a running defense. It's going to allow the Bears secondary to make the most out of it and make the Rams run the ball, which they quite frankly cannot do. So I got the Bears tonight winning. All right.
Let's talk.
Speaking of Rams running backs, Todd Gurley, who was the Rams running back last year, costed his team the game against the Lions over the weekend by scoring a touchdown. With a minute and a half to go, when the Falcons were down 2, they had the ball in the red zone. All they had to do was run out the clock. Bryce, your thoughts on Todd Gurley's stupidity?
They are so dumb. They are so dumb. This Falcons team every single week comes out and finds a new way to lose. Their offense is they have 2 of the best receivers in the league. I think Calvin Ridley is on the rise. I think he's one of the he's solid. He's incredibly competent as a number 2, or when Julio Jones goes out every other play, a number 1 receiver. He draws a lot of attention, and Matt Ryan, quite frankly, should be able to make the plays necessary to win a game, especially when you have a solid running back in Todd Gurley. You can't lose that game. You cannot lose that game. They stopped playing defense. They let him walk to the end zone. He broke 2 tackles. I understand. They did try to tackle him, but once they realized that he was near the end zone, they're like, they all ran away. And then who did they play? Oh, they played the Lions. The Lions defenders were like, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. And they're like, touchdown. He crossed a plane. He was an idiot. They lost that game because it was a stupid decision, just like they do every other week. It's not even a Dan Quinn problem. It's just a them problem. And the funniest thing about these close losses that every time they lose, they cut to Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, on the sideline, like
suit.
making a face, because he probably like thinks he's like, oh my God, like, do I have to sell this team now because of how bad they are and how much they lose these games?
No, I think he just has to clean house, get rid of your GM, and start over. You keep Matt Ryan personally. You don't let him go. You try to tank for Trevor for the rest of the season. You pray to God that
no one's getting Trevor besides the New York Jets.
You pray to God the Jets win a game and you somehow end up with the number 1 overall pick. And now Matt Ryan can pretty much take over for, or Trevor Lawrence can take over for Matt Ryan. Speaking of rookie quarterbacks, though, that we don't have on the rundown, but I do want to talk about. So Miami Dolphins have officially announced they are benching Ryan Fitzpatrick for Tua Tagovailoa. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think it's about damn time. I feel like they were definitely feeling this out. They put him in at the end of the last game when they were up multiple touchdowns against the Jets because the Jets are awful. They had to go with their guns here. They had to go with Tua. He's the franchise's future. I understand Ryan Fitzpatrick's playing extremely well right now, but at the end of the day, Tua is your franchise. He's the guy that you trust with building towards a Super Bowl. They're building around him. They trust this guy, and quite frankly, I would too, because you use a first-round pick on him. Of course, you need to start him within the next 10 games, or else he's going to think that he's not good, just like Dwayne Haskins.
Disagree.
All right, but let me finish my thought here. Tua, I think that he's going to have to prove himself in these next couple of weeks. I think there's a chance that he gets benched again for Fitzpatrick, depending on what the Dolphins really want with this season. If they want to win games, I feel like Fitzpatrick fits that mold better. But if they're trying to develop a quarterback, develop a guy that they trust, like I said, to win Super Bowls in the future, do really well with their team, then they go to it. But I like the decision a lot, in my opinion.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to make it really fast. Why? You're 3-3 right now. You're the Miami Dolphins. You're sitting at the number 10 seed in the AFC. So you have a shot at the playoffs. You're in the running. Why are you benching Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's been playing very well lately? Yes, I get it. Tua was the first round pick. He's the future. But the Chiefs did not do the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. They let him sit and they let him develop. Personally, I think it's maybe a little too early. I think if things were going more off the rail, then you still keep in Fitzpatrick. I just don't think Tua should really see the field this year. I don't really get the point. The Chiefs did such an amazing job with Patrick Mahomes and how he's been able to develop and turn into something. Everyone's thinking Tua, in college was the better prospect than Patrick Mahomes. So to me, it doesn't make sense. You're on the bubble. Your guy's playing well. Yeah, if Ryan Fitzpatrick maybe loses another game or two, then you put into it. But right now, they should let Fitzpatrick keep going. I feel bad for the guy. I really do. But at the end of the day,
he was happy.
He was very happy.
He knew what his job was.
Yeah,
is to win games until he's ready.
And the Dolphins feel that Tua is ready, but personally, I didn't see enough on the field against the Jets. I would have loved for him to play the entire fourth quarter because you knew they weren't coming back. Then maybe we'd be able to make this, distinction, and we'd be able to actually figure out who. But I just don't think it's time. And I think if Tua gets hurt next week, if I'm Brian Flores, I'm kicking myself. Because the Chiefs did not let Patrick Mahomes get hurt in 2017, and they didn't let him play. And I think that was the smartest thing for his career. And I think that's a very smart thing for all rookie quarterbacks. Yeah, Joe Burrow, if you go number 1 overall, you're going to go in right away because the Bengals were that bad and they were completely rebuilding. Justin Herbert, you look at Justin Herbert, he only went in because of Tyrod Taylor getting his lung punctured.
Yeah, he was stabbed.
And to me, Justin Herbert right now, I think he's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. But we'll get it. I'll ask you, Burrow or Herbert in a minute. But I just don't think that you needed, if you're the Dolphins, to put in Tua yet. I just think it was stupid. And I hope for the best. I hope the Dolphins go on a playoff run and sneak into the 7th seed. But at the end of the day, I think there's nothing wrong with letting Fitzpatrick stay in. You're going to have Tua for the next, potentially 4 to, 15 years in Miami, depending on how he does injury-wise.
All right. Well, okay. So I'd like to address what you said about Mahomes. That's only a once in a, in a lifetime situation, not a once in a lifetime, once every couple of years with the rookie quarterbacks. They had Alex Smith. Alex Smith is a solid quarterback. He was doing well with the team. I understand this is the same type of situation, but that team, the Chiefs that year, were much better and definitely more of a playoff contender than the Dolphins are right now. The Dolphins have not been good the past few years. Brian Flores is the coach of the future, though. He will take them to the promised land. He will be their coach for the next several years. If they fire him, they're really dumb. But I do think that this is a special circumstance, considering the fact that Ryan Fitzpatrick is known for only playing well in the first few games of the season and then really sliding off by the end of the year. And I think that that's just starting to happen right now. Fitzmagic only lasts a few weeks, lest we forget. And if Tua doesn't play well, Fitzpatrick's back in. But it's an experiment, and you have to take it if you're a team that really is looking towards the future. But let's move on. Let's talk about some other rookie quarterbacks. Let's talk about the fantasy leaders this week. We're going to start doing this every week because we're both really into fantasy. My team's doing terrible right now, and I'd love to talk about how bad my team is.
I went 0 for 4 this week.
Oh, great. Great. Congrats.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah. So I won this week,
Maybe I was 1 for 3. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, so I finally won this week. I was on a 4-game losing streak after winning 2 games. I'm only in 1 league. I like to keep it specific. I only like to really do 1 league, whether it's my home league, whether it's my camp league, or whether it's my college league. And I usually pick one every year and then just decide to run with that. This year it's the college league. I won last year. So my team, I have some solid running backs. I have Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, Chris Carson, and David Montgomery. So I have the best running back tandem in the league. Not considering the fact that Miles Sanders is hurt right now and Josh Jacobs is a fucking mess. Josh Jacobs, get your shit together. But Tyler Lockett, do you know Tyler Lockett at 53 points this week? PPR.
Another funnier thing, had him and I still lost.
Jesus. How?
Had him and I still lost. I think I'm putting up like 129 right now and he's at 133.
That's tough. That's very
I'm
tough.
the highest scoring team in that league, and I'm still losing. I'm on a 5-game losing skid as the highest scoring team in the league.
Fantasy is a lot. It's like 90.
I hate fantasy football, but God, I don't know why I do it every week. It's like golf, right? Like, you love golf. It's fun, but when you're out there, you're fucking pissed at yourself the whole time. You're like, Jesus.
And then you want to go back out
again. And then you're like, all right, so same time next week. Same time next week. And it's just like fantasy football. And I love fantasy football. I'm in 4 leagues. I don't know why I'm in 4 leagues. It's so hard to keep track.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I like to just do one.
Last Wednesday, I was on the phone for maybe 3 hours in multiple different leagues trying to trade for quarterbacks. My philosophy was never draft a good quarterback. One of my leagues, I took Aaron Rodgers because I just had to. Another league, I have Lamar. But like my other 2 leagues that I really care about, quick background. One of my leagues, I went to go play basketball, so I missed half of the draft. I didn't really care. So literally my thing was, all right, I'm taking the best quarterback. Like I had McCaffrey, Lamar, Travis Kelce, really good wide receivers. I can't really remember off the top of my head, but I was like, all right, like I'm going to make my team sick. And then my bench is going to be terrible. I think I'm like 4-2 in that league now. But anyway, I don't even remember what the point of the story was. I kind of completely spaced out. But yeah, having 4 leagues is horrible, but it's a lot of fun. And like we said, we come back every week. Yes, we were talking about Tyler Lockett scored 53 points. Devontae Adams followed up with 44. Then Justin Herbert had 35. Now, I want to talk to you about Herbert.
Herbert and Burrow, two of the best scorers this week.
So, who do you think should win Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Justin Herbert. I think he's completely going off. I do think Burrow is a better quarterback. With the weapons he has, he's doing much better than what Herbert is doing. Herbert had one bad week, one down week. But if you watch these games and you watch Cincinnati, Burrow is doing stuff that other guys in the league just simply don't do. Like this past week, he completely lost the ball. He dropped it. It fell on the ground. He picked it back up and just threw it for a touchdown. Like this guy has a lot of talent. This guy has a great future. Everyone knows this, but I think that Herbert is the better quarterback this year. And I do think that he will win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm. And then some other leading scorers just to round this out. Kyler Murray at 37.1 in PPR leagues. This is all PPR anyway. Tom Brady had 35, and Joe Burrow, 33.
Yeah. So,
I mean, your top performers of the week, sponsored by ESPN, but not actually. Because
thank you, ESPN. They reached out to me on Twitter asking me to be a sponsor for this episode. So we thank ESPN for their kind and hard work and getting our podcast out. Thank you, ESPN.
Please sponsor us.
Yeah, please. Yeah. That was all. That was complete cap. They do not support us. They never would. All right.
The only one supporting us is our parents' money.
Yes, that is
and
true.
My occasional winnings from weekly golf games.
And my grandpa
actually win.
And my grandpa's support. Thank you, Grandpa. Let's talk about something that actually is real and isn't cap. Indiana won. They beat Penn State.
Oh my God. Best day ever at Indiana as a student. I swear to God, this is Indiana's best win. Honestly, it's the debatably biggest win in Indiana football history. I would say it is. Personally, we haven't beat a ranked team that good since Penn State. We beat Penn State in 1993. That was our last win against a ranked opponent. Indiana's finally ranked. We're at 17 right now in the AP poll. That's the only poll that matters. I don't give a shit what the coaches poll says, even though they have us at 19. I'm really excited for the season. Like, I said I was gonna say, like, if we did the episode last week, Indiana will cover. I think they covered the spread. They would have covered the spread either way, but they won. I'm very happy. The ball crossed the line, and I'll tell you why. Because it doesn't matter if the ball is out of bounds. It's where the tip of the ball is. If the tip of the ball is crossed the end line by the time the ball goes out of bounds, which it did, then he was in. But it doesn't matter. People got their money back if you were on DraftKings, so who gives a shit? It was a win-win for everyone except Penn State.
Yeah, all right. Congratulations. I just wanted to bring that up. That was a huge win for you guys. Syracuse, not so much. We were close, actually, in the game versus Clemson, which was the closest games until the fourth quarter, which everyone knew they'd probably go off. But we suck. This is the worst year we've had sports-wise in every single sport in a while. And, hopefully basketball turns it around. But let's talk about our last topic. Let's talk about some golf. Do you think Tiger and Phil are ready for the Masters? They have not been playing well.
Yeah, God, definitely not. And I wouldn't even have them to win. I wouldn't even have them top 10. Phil never does well at the Masters recently anyway. I don't think he's ever won a green jacket. I think he has like one or two. Does he have a green jacket?
You just said I don't think he has a green jacket. He's got two.
He has two.
Actually, no. He's three, I think.
But when was his last green jacket, though? That's more important.
When was his last? I think it was. No. He won. He's 3 green jackets. The last one was 10 years ago.
Exactly. 10 years ago was the last time Phil was relevant in the Masters. Yeah, Tiger won 2 years ago. You can never say Tiger's out of it. His name is Tiger Woods. He is Tiger Woods for a reason. So he could always have a great week. I don't see Phil being in the running for it. I see Tiger maybe being in it. But my guys to watch, like we said a couple of weeks ago, absolutely Bryson DeChambeau.
Yes,
should be somebody who is heavily betted on. You can also look at someone like Patrick Cantley, who just won last week, Xander Schauffele, and possibly my pick, Justin Thomas.
Yeah, and we'll definitely cover the Masters more and more as the weeks go by. It's only in 2 weeks from this Thursday, which is absurd.
So it's crazy to think about it. Like, we were sitting, in our rooms back at home in April saying, God, the Masters should have been right now. But now here we are in October. Think about how crazy of a month October/November is for sports. NBA Finals, Stanley Cup, the MLB World Series, you have the Masters. You can have the Kentucky Derby, or you already had the Kentucky Derby. I don't remember if it's had it yet.
You're not a horse guy.
Penn State. Now you have college football back. You have college football.
Yeah, let's talk about Indiana beating Penn State is definitely big for the people who go to Indiana and not the people who
go everywhere else in the country.
Yeah, it was huge.
Fans in Alabama don't give a shit right now that Indiana beat Penn State. The only people who really care that Indiana beat Penn State is Michigan fans. And Ohio State
Wisconsin fans.
Wisconsin fans don't care because
Wisconsin's
still going to win the West. They're still going to win the West. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know. And I feel like they will win the Big Ten. I feel like
Graham Mertz too.
Yeah, he got COVID.
Poor kid got COVID. He was definitely out at like the KK partying after they won and they got back. And 2 days later, he's got COVID. Partying college quarterbacks.
Yeah, if there's any piece of advice we can give you.
Trevor Lawrence did.
If there's any advice we can give you as an athlete, stay at home. Please do not go out. You could screw your team. And that's all I got.
Just the tip was in. It was a field goal. I wasn't even a field goal.
Shut
It was
up.
a 2-point conversion. You're not gonna. Okay, next week I won't talk about it because we'll probably end up losing to Rutgers, knowing Indiana football. Rutgers actually. Greg Schiano. They had 7. Did you know they had 7 turnovers in the game against Michigan State?
Yeah.
They had 10 turnovers all of last season and 7 in one game. Rutgers football is on the rise. National contenders. 5 years. Calling it right now. I agree. In 5 years, they will be national contenders again. Greg Schiano is that good of a coach.
Writing that down.
Yep. Okay. I'll put it in the notes too. That's going to do it for this week's B&E podcast. For Bryce Gelman, I'm Evan Kamiko. We'll see you next week.
'Cause I'm better off on my own.